Welcome to Athens, 450 BC. You're about to witness something that has never existed before and will never exist again in exactly this form. This is direct democracy. Not representatives, not elections. You, every citizen, voting on every law, every war, every decision. 40,000 men gather on a hillside and decide the fate of an empire by raising their hands. This is the year Pericles tightens the citizenship law. From now on, both your parents must be Athenian for you to be a citizen. Thousands of people who thought they belonged here just lost everything. Athens is defining who counts as human, and 90% of people living in this city don't make the cut. The Parthenon doesn't exist yet. Right now, in 450 BC, workers are clearing rubble from the Acropolis. The Persians burned everything 30 years ago. The Athenians swore they'd never rebuild. They wanted the ruins to stand forever as a reminder. But Pericles just convinced them to break that oath. He's about to spend the entire treasury of the Delian League, money that belongs to 200 allied cities, on the most expensive building project in Greek history. The allies are furious. Pericles doesn't care. 3 years from now, construction on the Parthenon begins. Right now, in 450, it's still a dream and a scandal. Walk through the city gates and you enter the Agora. This is not a marketplace. Well, it is a marketplace, but it's also a courtroom, a polling place, a philosophy school, a rumor mill, and the center of political power. Imagine a space where buying vegetables, voting on war, and arguing about the nature of justice all happen simultaneously in the same square. That's the Agora. Here's what shocks foreign visitors. Slaves walk freely through the Agora. You can't tell who's a slave and who's a citizen just by looking. They wear the same clothes. Some slaves are wealthier than poor citizens. Some run businesses. Some work side by side with free men on construction sites, earning the same daily wage. The old oligarch, an Athenian who hates democracy, complains that you can't even strike a slave in the street because he might look like a free man and you'd hit the wrong person by mistake. In Athens, slavery doesn't look like it will look in Rome or in the Americas. It's everywhere. It's brutal, but it's also weirdly integrated into daily life. 80,000 slaves live in Athens. That's 1 in 4 people. Most are prisoners of war. Some were kidnapped by pirates. Their children are automatically enslaved. But slavery isn't based on race or skin color. Greeks enslave other Greeks, though they feel uncomfortable about it. Most slaves come from Thrace, the Black Sea, Syria. They speak different languages. They worship their own gods alongside their masters' gods. Some save money and buy their freedom. Then they become metics. Metics are free foreigners, resident aliens. 10,000 of them live here. They can't own land. They can't marry citizens. They can't vote, but they can work, trade, make money. Many are craftsmen, merchants, bankers. They pay a special tax, 12 drachmas a year for men, 6 for women. That's 1 day's wage. They serve in the military, in segregated units. The city needs them desperately. Athens runs on metic labor and money, but Athens will never let them belong. Women don't appear in the Agora much. When they do, they're accompanied by male relatives or slaves. Citizen women spend most of their time in the gynaikonitis, the women's quarters of the house. They manage the household, supervise slaves, raise children, weave. They cannot represent themselves in court. They cannot own significant property. They cannot conduct business transactions above a minimal amount. Legally, they're permanent minors. Their father controls them, then their husband, then their sons. But this is theory. Practice is messier. Poor women work. They sell goods in markets, run food stalls, work in shops. Some are prostitutes. Prostitution is legal and taxed. The state even runs brothels staffed by enslaved women. The democracy everyone celebrates includes about 40,000 men. That's 10% of the population. Everyone else is excluded. Women, slaves, metics, children. 250,000 people live in Athens and the surrounding countryside of Attica. Only 40,000 can vote. This is the most radical democracy in human history, and it's also a system of strict hierarchy based on birth. The assembly meets on the Pnyx, a hillside west of the Acropolis that can hold 6,000 men. They meet at least 40 times a year, possibly more. Any citizen can attend. Any citizen can speak. Any citizen can propose a law. You simply stand up, walk to the center, and address the assembly. If you're persuasive, you can change policy. If you're not, you'll be shouted down, mocked, possibly ignored. The assembly makes every major decision: war and peace, treaties, public spending, electing generals, even whether to ostracize someone, ban them from the city for 10 years because they're too powerful. Here's how voting works. For most decisions, you raise your hand. Officials standing at the front judge the outcome by looking. Yes, that's imprecise. Yes, this causes problems when it's dark. Anyone can demand a recount. For certain important votes, like granting citizenship, they use a different system. You need a quorum of 6,000 men. White stones mean yes, black stones mean no. Everyone tosses a stone into a large jar. Then they crack it open and count. Attendance is mandatory. If you don't show up, public slaves with ropes dipped in red paint herd you from the Agora to the Pnyx. If you get red paint on your clothes, you're fined. Later, Athens will start paying citizens to attend the assembly. This changes everything. Suddenly, poor men who couldn't afford to take time off work can participate. Democracy becomes more democratic, but that's not happened yet in 450 BC. Right now, attendance is still driven by civic duty and social pressure. The Boule, the Council of 500, prepares the assembly's agenda. 50 men from each of Athens's 10 tribes, chosen by lottery every year. No one can serve more than twice in their lifetime. They meet in the Bouleuterion in the Agora. Every day, 50 of them stay overnight in the Tholos, a round building that serves as dining hall and emergency headquarters. One man, chosen by lottery each day, serves as president. For 24 hours, he holds the keys to the treasury and the state seal. Tomorrow, it's someone else. This system is designed so power rotates so fast that no one can consolidate it. The courts are massive. 6,000 jurors chosen by lottery each year from male citizens over 30. Trials can involve hundreds of jurors, sometimes over 1,000. There are no lawyers. You argue your own case. You get a limited time, measured by a water clock. When the water runs out, you stop talking. The jury votes immediately, using bronze discs with solid or hollow centers to indicate guilty or innocent. Majority wins. There's no appeal. The verdict is final. The courts have almost unlimited power. Anyone can bring a suit against anyone else, claiming they proposed an illegal law or acted against the state's interests. This creates a culture of litigation and paranoia. Politicians constantly accuse each other. Failed generals are prosecuted. Successful generals are prosecuted because they might be too successful. Pericles himself will face multiple trials. The courts are where democracy devours its own. Socrates is alive right now, in 450 BC. He's about 20 years old, probably serving in the military or learning stonework from his father. He hasn't started his street corner philosophy yet. That comes later. But the intellectual environment that creates him is already forming. Sophists roam the Agora, professional teachers who charge fees to train young men in rhetoric. They can make any argument sound convincing, whether it's true or not. This infuriates people who care about truth. Philosophers like Anaxagoras, a friend of Pericles, are already asking dangerous questions. What is the universe made of? Are the gods real? Can we know anything for certain? The theatre is central to Athenian culture in ways that are hard to overstate. Plays are performed during religious festivals, particularly the Dionysia. These aren't entertainment in our sense, they're civic rituals. Attendance is mandatory. The city provides tickets for poor citizens. 3 playwrights compete. Each presents 3 tragedies and a satyr play. A panel of judges chosen by lottery declares a winner. The entire city watches. Aeschylus just died a few years ago. Sophocles is in his prime. Euripides is writing his early works. These aren't just plays, they're public philosophy. They ask questions about justice, duty, fate, divine will, human nature. They depict kings making terrible choices, women taking revenge, gods behaving like cruel children. The audience doesn't just watch, they react loudly, cheering, booing, throwing things if they hate a performance. Theatre is participatory. Women attend the theatre. This is one of the few public spaces where they're allowed, but the plays are performed entirely by men. All the actors are male citizens wearing masks. They play multiple roles, switching masks to indicate different characters. A chorus comments on the action, sings, dances. The performances last 8 hours. This is endurance theatre. Pericles dominates Athens right now in 450 BC, though not officially. He's one of 10 generals elected annually by vote rather than chosen by lottery. This is one of the few positions where election rather than random selection matters. Generals lead the military, but they also have enormous informal influence. Pericles has been elected repeatedly for over a decade. He's effectively running the city through persuasion, oratory, and political maneuvering. He's also living with Aspasia, a foreign woman from Miletus. They can't marry because of the citizenship law he just passed. Aspasia is controversial. Some say she runs an intellectual salon where Socrates and other philosophers meet. Some say she's a brothel keeper. Probably both rumors are exaggerated, but the fact that a foreign woman has this kind of influence and visibility drives Pericles' enemies crazy. They attack him through her repeatedly. The Persian Wars ended officially about a year ago. The Peace of Callias, if it actually exists, supposedly ended 50 years of conflict. Athens is now the dominant power in the Aegean. The Delian League, originally an alliance against Persia, is becoming an Athenian empire. Athens controls 200 allied cities. They're required to pay tribute, use Athenian coinage, bring legal cases to Athenian courts. If they refuse, Athens sends troops. This isn't diplomacy, it's protection money. The Spartans are watching all of this with increasing alarm. Athens is building walls connecting the city to its port at Piraeus. These long walls mean Athens can't be starved into submission during a siege. As long as the navy controls the sea, food comes in. This makes Athens nearly invincible. Sparta, a land power, can't compete. Tensions are rising. In 19 years, the Peloponnesian War begins. It lasts 27 years and destroys both cities. But that's future. Right now, there's peace, prosperity, and the growing arrogance of imperial success. Daily life in Athens revolves around public space. Homes are private, often small, built around central courtyards. The real life of the city happens outside. Men spend their days in the Agora, at the gymnasium, in the baths, at symposia. Physical fitness matters enormously. Military service is mandatory. You need to be ready to fight. The gymnasium is where you exercise naked, wrestle, throw javelins, run. It's also where philosophical discussions happen. Education and athletics aren't separate. Symposia are drinking parties for elite men. After dinner, the women leave, except for hired entertainers, musicians, dancers, sometimes prostitutes. The men recline on couches, drink heavily diluted wine, discuss philosophy, politics, poetry. They play drinking games, they sing. Sometimes things get violent. Sometimes young aristocrats, drunk and bored, form gangs and roam the streets looking for trouble. The city tries to control this, but mostly fails. Food for citizens is heavily subsidized. The state imports grain from Egypt and the Black Sea. Citizens get distributions. Public festivals include massive sacrifices. Cattle are killed in religious ceremonies. The meat is distributed to the population. For many poorer citizens, these festivals are the only times they eat meat. The wealthy eat better. Fish especially. Athens has access to sea trade, olives, olive oil, wine, cheese, bread, vegetables. Fish is expensive and prized. A symposium featuring rare fish is a status symbol. Religion is everywhere. Every act has religious implications. Before an assembly meeting, they sacrifice and check the omens. Before a journey, you pray. Before battle, you consult oracles. The gods are real, powerful, capricious. Athena, the city's patron, must be honored constantly. Her festival, the Parthenon, involves a massive procession where a new robe is brought to her statue. The whole city participates. But religious belief isn't what we'd recognize. No one believes in one god. Everyone worships many gods, depending on need. Sailing, pray to Poseidon. Starting a business, sacrifice to Hermes. Having a baby, ask Artemis for protection. The gods are transactional. You give offerings, you expect results. If the results don't come, maybe you offended the god. Maybe you didn't sacrifice enough. Maybe a rival prayed harder. Religion is practical magic. 3 years from now, construction on the Parthenon begins. The sculptor Phidias, Pericles' friend, will create the massive statue of Athena that goes inside. 40 feet tall, covered in gold and ivory. The building itself will take 9 years. It's being funded by tribute from the Delian League. The allies are furious. One of them complains that Athens is dressing up like a prostitute with other people's money. Pericles' response is basically, "We defended you from Persia, now we do what we want with the money." The Parthenon will be perfect, every proportion calculated, every column slightly curved to account for optical illusions. The sculptures, showing gods, heroes, and Athenians together, will suggest that Athens has a special relationship with the divine. This isn't just a temple, it's a statement. Athens is the greatest city in Greece. Athens is touched by the gods. Athens deserves to rule. But right now, in 450 BC, it's still rubble. Workers are clearing the site. Architects are drawing plans. Pericles is negotiating with quarries for marble. The transformation hasn't happened yet. This is the moment of decision. Athens is choosing what kind of city it wants to be. Wealthy, imperial, beautiful, powerful, democratic for some, oppressive for others. Slavery makes the democracy possible. This is the uncomfortable truth. Citizens have time to participate in politics because slaves do most of the labor. Slaves work in mines, in homes, in shops, on farms, in workshops. They build the buildings, they row the ships, they make the goods. Without them, citizens would have to work full-time and couldn't attend assembly meetings or serve on juries. Democracy is built on exploitation. Women's exclusion also makes the system work. Because women manage households and raise children, men are free to spend days in political activity. Because women can't speak in public or vote, men dominate all discourse. This isn't accidental. This is structural. The democracy depends on keeping half the population silent. The Pnyx status is deliberately maintained. Athens needs their skills and their money, but giving them citizenship would dilute citizen power, so they remain permanent outsiders, contributing everything, belonging nowhere. This creates resentment, but also stability. The Pnyx have too much to lose by rebelling and nothing to gain. They're trapped. Ostracism is one of democracy's stranger features. Once a year, the assembly votes on whether to hold an ostracism. If they decide yes, citizens scratch names on broken pottery. If any name gets 6,000 votes, that person is exiled for 10 years. No trial, no charges, just "you're too powerful, leave." It's designed to prevent tyranny. In practice, it becomes a political weapon. Rivals ostracize each other. The system is easily manipulated. Pericles will never be ostracized. His main rival, Cimon, was ostracized years ago and died recently. Thucydides, not the historian but another politician, will try to oppose Pericles and will be ostracized. For the next 15 years, Pericles faces no serious opposition. He shapes Athens into his vision: the Parthenon, the long walls, the imperial policy, the cultural flowering. This is his city. But he rules through persuasion, not force. Every year, he must convince the assembly to elect him general again. Every policy requires assembly approval. Every enemy can bring him to court. He has no official power beyond his vote and his voice, yet he dominates. This is the paradox of Athenian democracy. It's radically egalitarian in structure and tends toward informal aristocracy in practice. The best speakers win, and the best speakers are usually the well-educated elite. In 20 years, Athens will be at war. In 30 years, Pericles will be dead, killed by plague. In 70 years, Athens will lose the war and the empire will collapse. Democracy will briefly be overthrown by oligarchs. It will be restored, then finally ended by Macedonian conquest. But all that is future. Right now, in 450 BC, Athens is at its peak. Confident, wealthy, creative, brutal, visionary, oppressive, glorious, and doomed. This is Athens. The birthplace of democracy. The city where philosophy, drama, and political theory were invented. The empire that controlled the Aegean. The culture that enslaved a quarter of its population. The system that gave political voice to some while silencing most. This is what it was.